points!
Greetings and salutations, this is Brian from Mechbladestudios. Today, Fire Emblem 3 Houses comes out for the Nintendo Switch. However, seeing as I don't exactly have the industry connections to get my hands on a review copy, I'm getting it today like everybody else. Until then, I wanted to look at a little curiosity from the franchise's early years. It's a 2-episode OVA called Fire Emblem. Based on the Super Famicom game Fire Emblem Mystery of the Emblem, which itself includes a remake of the Famicom original Shadow Dragon The Blade of Light, the Fire Emblem OVA was released in 1996 and, amazingly, released in territories outside of Japan with multiple dubs in 1997. Mind you, this was long before anybody in the West even heard of Fire Emblem via 2001 Super Smash Bros. Melee, where protagonist Marth and protagonist from another continuity, Roy, appeared without either of their games even being localized. Hell, the game this anime is based on wasn't even localized through a remake until 2010. As you can see, this is obviously the oldest subject I've reviewed so far, but the animation isn't bad. The character designs are reasonably faithful to those of the games at the time, although Sita looks more like Erika unless it's nighttime. Backgrounds run the gamut of bright and colorful to dark and war-torn. I particularly like how this fight between Marth and Gazak is lit. Voice acting is fairly competent, the only real annoyance is Gordon here.
Kane is right! We must join up with Princess Nina and go to war!
But he's a small enough presence that is bearable. Marth sounds rather familiar.
I am Mars. Mars Lowell. Pull yourself together, Sheeta! Proud of what, Ellis? I know I'll never be as ruthless as Father is.
You're just hiding behind those smiles, but you intentionally keep things ambiguous!
Yup, that's Spike Spencer, the voice of Shinji Ikari. Actually, come to think of it, a lot of Evangelion alumni appear here. Fun fact, the Japanese voice actor for Marth here actually did Marth's voice for all the Smash games.
僕はマルスローウェル、アリティアの王子です。みんな、見ていてくれ!
The combat isn't anything special, Marth doesn't give any direct attack orders, and fights tend to suffer from the classic bad guys attack the good guy one at a time. Also, whether it be desensitization or a sign of the times, despite the serious setup, this is the start of a war after all, blood is rather light for a show with bladed weapons. Not asking for insane amounts of gore, but you'd think a sword to the throat would leave a mark. The music is very MIDI-tastic, but otherwise various themes from the games appear. There's an opening sequence which tells the story, but not much of an OP theme. Nothing mind-blowing, but it's a clue that this show sticks very closely to the source material. Finally, the obvious. None of the names are right. Marth is now Mars, Sita is now Sheeta, Aguma is now Oguma, Navarre is now Navarro, and so on. I can't really harp on it because there are no official romanizations for any character or location here yet because none of the games are localized yet, but it's something of note nonetheless. For clarity's sake, I'm going to go with the modern names for this review. Despite Mystery of the Emblem being the game the OVA is based on, the show doesn't ever actually reach any of the newer story introduced in that game at all. Instead, the story begins back at the very beginning of the events of Shadow Dragon and the Blade of Light, with the fall of Altea at the hands of the Kingdom of Dolour, the evil sorcerer Garneth, and the titular Shadow Dragon, Medeus, who we never properly see. Marth and his sister Elise are escorted out by their trusted knight and crushed to many a player, Jagan. We then get a time skip to Marth listening to a group of children listening to the legend of Marth's ancestor, Anri. Sita appears and tries putting the moves on Marth as he spaces out, thinking about his father Cornelius and how brutal he was. Sita gets angry and storms off for him not listening, but forgives Marth pretty quickly after hopping into a cart and then having fun around the castle. Sita invites Marth to stay for dinner, and he accepts. Marth overhears Talisian officials talking about the risks of housing Marth, triggering a flashback of the Battle of the Fall of Altea, complete with the betrayal of the Kingdom of Gra, and how Cornelius met his demise at the hands of Garneth, losing this giant version of Falchion in the process. Marth proceeds to run off and mope. Obviously, moments like this weren't in the game, but they're decent touches added to aid with characterization. Sita warns Marth of a pirate attack on Talos, and he gathers his forces to repel them. Marth fights the pirate boss Gazak, where Sita gets caught in a hostage situation until Aguma arrives to tip the scales, killing Gazak in the process. Talos provides Marth and company with the ships required to head to the Archanean mainland to stop an invasion of Orleans, and Sita seemingly gets left behind. Her father asks her to follow her true feelings, leading to Sita flying to Marth's ship and joining the army. It's a pretty good first episode. The tone's very balanced, the conflicting characters are introduced, and the action was just enough to keep people interested. The next episode focuses on the Myrmidon Navarre. His wife, or girlfriend, it's not made clear here, was killed by bandits and he cuts them all down. As a result, he wanders around as a dual-wielding mercenary. His killing edges even glow like in the games. He joins a group of bandits who had captured a Macedonian priestess named Sister Lena. Meanwhile, Marth's forces liberate a nearby town from pirates. We get this classic line from Gordon.
Let them all go, but Mars...
The villagers show their gratitude and let them stay the night. As Marth learns of Lena's plight, a thief named Julian sneaks into Lena's cell and gives her his food. We get a flashback revealing that Agba was... freed by Sita when she was younger. I honestly can't figure out what's happening here, but it establishes that Agba and Sita are friends that go way back. Julian breaks Lena out of her prison, and Navarre briefly assists them by cutting down some guards and letting them leave. Julian gets injured and Lena gets recaptured. Julian reaches Marth and his army and fills them in on the situation. Marth and Sita arrive just in time to stop a fight between Agba and Navarre. There's the only bit of blood there. Just like in the games, Sita is the one to officially turn Navarre to the side of good. Here we get our lesson. Mindless fighting is wrong, but with a just cause, fighting can be justified. It makes enough sense in context. Navarre joins in, wanting to see what constitutes as a justified fight, before dispatching his former employer. Marth and company arrive on the Arcanaean continent, ready to stop the evils of Dolar and Kaden. The end. Yeah, that's really it. Only 2 episodes were ever made. It's a shame, really. Hell, the F-Zero anime lasts longer than this, even in the localized run. If I can locate that, I'll talk about it. Overall, I give the Fire Emblem OVA a 7 out of 10. These 2 episodes were quite solid. They're not perfect, the fighting and voice acting can be a bit awkward, but had a decent tone, a story faithful to the games, and characters that are likable for the most part. Like the games, a lot of the characters get skimmed over, supports didn't even exist yet, but it's entirely possible that this could have been rectified had the show continued. In terms of story, it's not like it would never be continued, it's been told 3 times for crying out loud, but it would have been interesting to see how this incarnation of it would have turned out. So that's it for me for now. What do you guys think? Have you seen the Fire Emblem OVA? What would you do if you were to remake a full-length version of it? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, leave a like and subscribe for more reviews of anime, video games, and movies. This was like all of those rolled into one today, wasn't it? Anyway, hit that bell icon so you know exactly when a new video goes up, and share this video with someone that might find it helpful. Thanks for watching. This is Brian from Mechbladestudios, signing off.